but there is a change. We definitely see this among students and among the younger generation in different places, and even when we are talking about the US, even among American Jews, who many of them grew up in Zionist homes where they were blindly supporting the State of Israel. And over time, during the past years, we see that there is a shift where those American Jews are basically distancing themselves from Israel. Maybe some of them are still Zionist, but they understand that some things that Israel does is simply indefensible. So they are distancing themselves, and we see this in the polls. We see many such examples of how American Jewry is distancing themselves and
even a famous columnist in the New York Times.
Exactly. Thomas Friedman has recently published an article saying basically, if you want to send an article about the two-state solution, don't bother. I'm not interested. And this is quite refreshing. Obviously, the line, the political line that the New York Times represents is horrendous. It is absolutely in line with Israeli propaganda from beginning to end. But the very fact that such a newspaper that is regurgitating Israeli propaganda is saying, well, the two-state solution is basically, don't even discuss it any longer. It's not, we have no interest in that. That is refreshing. That says that even among these institutions that used to be part and parcel of Israeli propaganda, there is some slight change of awareness.
So the next level of challenge should be Germany, mainstream media and government policy in Germany.
Exactly. So if in the
last
US...
stronghold of Zionism in Europe.
Exactly. If in the US we are looking up to the US all the time because we know that this is where the political change needs to happen in order to have a real impact of what is happening in Israel-Palestine, then you can look at Germany as the last bastion, the last place where there is absolute full protectionism of Israel. But even here we see slight changes happening, and every slight change that is happening here in Germany has a lot of repercussions around the world, because any type of criticism, even the slightest form of criticism of Israel that is taking place here in Germany, is a sign that there is a real change happening.
May I ask you to name some examples? What are the slight
for example,
that you're observing?
Yes, for example, when Germany abstained from voting in favor of Israel in a UN resolution regarding the settlements. For example, when Germany said, well, we will not give you these nuclear-armed, nuclear-driven, submarines for free. We will give you the submarines for a discounted price. Things like that. That there is a change, a slight change in the perception of Israel, or at least in the way that the German government is dealing with Israel.
I want to ask you a very clear question. Do you believe in the United Nations?
I think that if the UN did its job, then we wouldn't have to do ours. If an international body like the UN, and not only the UN, also the European Parliament and other international bodies, if they did simply what they are tasked on doing, then they would have applied sanctions on Israel and made sure that it cannot systematically act against basic human rights and carry out their criminal policies. Now, because the UN is not doing what it is obligated to do, it is up to us, the people, to speak up and to demand that these rights, the rights of Palestinians, will be met.
Okay, allow me to modify my question. Do you recognize the United Nations?
I think that the idea behind the United Nations is a positive one, but the practice is far from it. So the fact that the UN has power that it doesn't exercise for the goal that it was established for, it puts its whole existence in question. And it is not only me saying it, also UN officials are saying it. And this is something that the UN has to seriously change its ways in order to maintain its own legitimacy.
And please allow me a last question. Could one say that the Israeli society is racist?
I think it is racist to the core. The whole idea
the formulation so would be correct. The Israeli society is racist. I don't say absolutely. Jewish people are racist.
Of course.
I say the Israeli society is racist. So would that be a remark that would be true in your eyes? And if yes, great, please say something, please comment.
Yes, absolutely. The State of Israel was established on values of ethnic supremacy and nationalism, ultranationalism. This is at the heart of the foundation of the State of Israel. Now, something that people usually miss out on is this notion of supremacy, of that there is the privileged group and the underprivileged group. And everything that Israel does is about that. It is about the us versus them. This is the main concern about everything that Israel did since its very foundation. Unfortunately, it's not just the government that is advocating for this type of thinking, but this exists in Israeli. This is part and parcel of Israeli society. This type of thinking of us versus them, and speaking about equality, for example, in Israel, goes against everything the State of Israel is about. This is why there is no such thing as an Israeli nationality in Israel, because if we had an Israeli nationality, then at least on paper there will be some sort of equality, some sort of equal treatment between the different types of citizens. But Israel does not want to treat its citizens equally. It wants to maintain this differentiation between the privileged and the underprivileged. Obviously, for the same reason, there is no constitution in Israel, because a constitution will have to safeguard certain rights for everyone. And therefore, there is no constitution. There will never be a constitution as long as Israel is an ethnic supremacist state. What they call a Jewish state, but it has nothing to do with Judaism. Israel is Jewish.
It's not a Jewish state.
Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. Actually, Zionism was founded not only as an un-Jewish or non-religious ideology, it was founded as an anti-religious, anti-Jewish ideology. And there are many examples for that. But the only thing that makes Israel so-called Jewish is its ethnic supremacist character. It's not Jewish by religion, it's Jewish by supremacy. Israel is Jewish just like South Africa was white. It is about making sure that only a select group of people maintain their rights. And the rest can be stripped of their rights very easily.
And also not all Jews are treated in the same way. There are some black African Jews not treated like white European Jews.
Yes. When we talk about supremacy, there's also, because there is always this differentiation between different groups, also internally in Zionism, there was and still is a whole whole range of discrimination also internally among Israeli Jews. And there are many examples for that. There are many examples. But to this day, we see that if you look at, for example, the Falasha, the Ethiopian Jews, who have demonstrated quite recently against the discrimination that they suffer in Israel. They have said that they understood just how racist the situation is, and it is really I'm sorry. No, I don't know.